In New York, the Diocese of Rochester hopes to reach a settlement with victims of sexual abuse. A motion was filed in court last week to pay $55 million to 475 survivors. Bishop Salvador Mateno outlined the offer in a letter to the faithful. He also renewed a sincere apology for violations of the church's sacred trust by clergy, religious, and laity. Well, history has shown that the votes of evangelical Christians can help turn the tide of an entire election. And while issues like crime, immigration, and the economy drew millions to the polls today, what about those voters of faith? Joining us tonight with his insights is Timothy Head, Executive Director of the Faith and Freedom Coalition. Timothy, welcome. Great to be with you today. I have to say, it really is hard to overstate the importance of the Christian voting bloc. As you know, they helped to push President Trump over that finish line back in 2016. That said, what do you expect to see in this election as far as turnout?
Well, that's a great question, and honestly, I think that you're exactly right. That it's hard to overstate the importance and the centrality of the Christian vote and the faith vote in general. So bear in mind that at this point, between 72 and 75% of Republicans basically identify with some sort of faith tradition. And so you're really talking about the largest single voting bloc in all of American politics. Much larger than the labor vote, much larger than LGBT minority votes. The Christian vote is the largest constituency in all of American politics, and it does truly sway all elections, regardless whether it be president, governor, senate, etc.
Yeah, and the right to life is almost always on top of mind for Christian voters. However, now that Roe has been overturned, do you think there has been a shift in their priorities?
Well, you wouldn't say a shift in their priorities. So bear in mind, Christians still have mortgages. Christians still have jobs. They still have to feed their families. Have to get to and from places and fill up their tanks with gas. And so economic issues always are going to be a priority. But it has taken about 3 or 4 months, I think, for most Christian voters to really kind of begin to kind of sink their teeth into the fact that truly the Dobbs decision has made life a state issue again. So that means governors matter, state senators matter, state House of Representatives matter, sometimes even DAs can matter on these issues. So it's made local elections that much more of a priority for a lot of Christian and pro-life voters.
And I'm curious, what do you think is maybe the top focus for people of faith on this election day? And also, what do you hope they keep in mind as they head to the polls, if they haven't done so already?
Well, that's your caveat is a fair one, because really across the country we're actually seeing huge early voting performances by all voters, including so far pro-life and pro-faith voters. But I would say economic issues paired with pro-life, pro-faith, pro-family policymakers that ensures a stronger educational system for our kids. It also kind of helps to sequester some of this wokeness, and so it's important for us to remain vigilant, even if we're not necessarily voting on Supreme Court or president, kinds of issues right now. Midterm or off election cycles are just as important for voters of faith as any other election cycle.
And we have about a minute so are left, but wondering what races that you are focusing on. What are you watching the most?
Well, I think the question or the sort of suspense in the U.S. House is probably how much of a margin Republicans end up coming out of tonight with. That's looking like either a large or an extremely large margin is the short version there. But the Senate is definitely still in question. And so in the Georgia Senate race, obviously with Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock, the Nevada Senate race, obviously the Arizona Senate race. But interestingly, even the New Hampshire and the Washington State Senate races are kind of narrowing, as well as Pennsylvania. So there really are probably 6 elections that will truly dictate the swing of the U.S. Senate coming up. And yet again, in all of those, the evangelical and Catholic vote will ultimately probably be the deciding factor.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. Timothy, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. God bless you.
Of course. Thank you so much. God bless.